you get some of that good Snoop weed?
I've smoked with Unc before, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get some of that good Snoop weed? That line from Lauren London had everyone's jaw on the floor. What sounded like a casual comment ended up hinting at a much deeper connection between her and Snoop Dogg, a bond that's now got the entire internet buzzing. At first, people brushed it off as just two stars vibing, but when new footage dropped of Snoop and Lauren together, the vibe shifted fast. Suddenly, it wasn't just friendship being discussed. People started whispering that maybe Lauren had a bigger role behind the scenes than anyone realized. Let's break this down because it's wild. This isn't your usual Snoop being Snoop clip, where he's cracking jokes or doing his chill Uncle Snoop routine. Nah, this one shows him.
Yeah, but you don't know till it's at your front door. I always say the front row at the funeral is different. You know, when you have to sit on, like, you know, I've been at a lot of funerals.
I bet.
I've never sat front row at one. That's different.
What does that do to you?
Shift your perspective on life. You know what I mean? Make you see not only that is life short, but that it's a gift, you know, and because everyone's time is so different.
Standing right next to Lauren London, the Lauren London, Nipsey Hussle's longtime partner, and that instantly turned heads. The timing, the body language, everything about it felt loaded. People aren't just watching two celebrities hang out. They're watching a connection tied to Nipsey's legacy, a legacy that's sacred in hip-hop. Lauren London wasn't just someone mourning Nipsey. She was the heartbeat of his memory. From that soul-shaking tribute at the Staples Center to her emotional speech at the BET Awards, she became the face of his loss. Every time.
But yet still, Big came out to California, and you don't see not one picture of him and Snoop together. You don't see not one place where they smoked a blunt together. Both of them like to smoke. We was in the studio with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Snoop never came over there. So you tell me, was they really that cool? Or it was just a facade that was put up?
Time she spoke, it hit different. Brands honored her, award shows gave her the stage, and documentaries leaned on her to tell Nipsey's story. Because when she spoke, people felt his presence again. She didn't chase the spotlight, it found her and the culture demanded it. That's what made this new clip so explosive. Standing beside Lauren wasn't just standing next to an actress, it was standing next to the living symbol of Nipsey's empire. And when that image hit the internet, it didn't look innocent, it looked intentional. Fans couldn't help but ask, was Snoop aligning himself with Nipsey's legacy on purpose? Or was it just bad timing? To really understand why this blew up, you gotta rewind to the day Nipsey was taken from us. When those shots rang out in front of the Marathon store, Los Angeles didn't just lose a rapper, it lost a movement. Nipsey was more than music. He was a visionary who showed what it looked like to rise from the block and still pour back into it. His death shattered hearts, but it also shifted power. And that's where things got complicated. When a man's influence stretches beyond his block, the aftermath always comes with tension. Love gets tested, loyalty gets questioned, and envy creeps in. In those dark days after Nipsey's passing, his brother Black Sam stepped up as the guardian of everything Nipsey built. He wasn't just grieving, he was defending their legacy. Sam made it clear that Nipsey's name would stay in the family and anyone trying to exploit it would have to answer for it. Those weren't just words, that was a warning. Sam knew what was coming. The vultures, the fake love, the opportunists. He saw how quickly people move when the lights dim, and he refused to let his brother's empire turn into a feeding frenzy. But here's where things really got tricky. Nipsey's world wasn't just made of money or deals, it was built on relationships. And once he was gone, those bonds started cracking. Even among the people closest to him, tension began to rise. Brick Baby himself admitted that he and Black Sam had a clash after Nipsey's death, and it all came down to loyalty. That word carries weight in this story because everyone claimed to love Nipsey, but not everyone was moving with the same heart. And that's what makes this new footage with Snoop and Lauren so controversial. It's not just about what's seen on camera, it's about what it represents. Every move, every moment, every frame, it's got people questioning who's truly honoring Nipsey's name and who's playing the game. And then he dropped a bomb on Snoop, a wild claim that Snoop was moving in the shadows, even trying to bail out Keef D, the man tied to Tupac's murder, just because Keef was talking too much. That revelation sent shockwaves through the streets. When Pac was alive, Snoop was supposed to be his brother in arms. They made hits together, rode for the same cause, and stood shoulder to shoulder like family. But behind the scenes, people claim Snoop was cozying up to the very folks Pac called enemies. Take Big Dre, for example. The man who was allegedly in the car with Keith D the night Pac was killed. Anyone loyal to Pac would have stayed far away from someone like that, but not Snoop. And that's why, even decades later, fans still don't know where his loyalty truly stands. Fans didn't just love Nipsey for his music, they loved him because he lived everything he spoke about. He wasn't one of those rappers preaching ownership while secretly signed to bad deals. Nah, Nipsey owned his masters. When he talked about reinvesting in the hood, he meant it. He built real businesses in Crenshaw, created jobs for people the world had written off, and proved that success didn't have to mean selling out. He didn't just rhyme about loyalty, he lived it every day, standing tall for his people even when fame and money gave him every excuse to walk away. So when the news hit that Nipsey Hussle had been gunned down in front of his own Marathon store, the very spot that symbolized his dream, it shattered hearts everywhere. The reaction was raw, immediate, and unforgettable. In Los Angeles, thousands poured into the streets, flooding the area around the Marathon with love, pain, and disbelief. Flowers, candles, and handwritten letters covered the ground, while murals sprang up overnight. Strangers hugged, tears flowed, and it felt like the city had lost its heartbeat. But it wasn't just LA. The entire world moved for Nipsey. Murals started popping up in cities far beyond California: Houston, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, even London and Lagos. Everywhere you looked, people were painting Nipsey's face with the words, "The marathon continues," shining beside it. Social media turned into one giant memorial. Endless posts, tributes, and videos filled every feed. For weeks, the culture stood still, united in mourning a man who had given them hope. Fans weren't just grieving an artist, they were grieving what he represented. To them, Nipsey was a blueprint, proof that you could stay real, own your power, and build your empire from the ground up. He showed that independence wasn't weakness, it was freedom. And when someone that pure, that purpose-driven could be taken out right in front of his own store, people couldn't help but ask, if it could happen to him, what chance do the rest of us have? His death didn't just break fans' hearts, it hit his peers even harder. Younger rappers who had grown up looking up to him felt like they'd lost a mentor. Roddy Ricch openly shared how Nipsey believed in him before the world did, how Nipsey gave him advice, pushed him forward, and told him to dream bigger. Losing Nipsey wasn't just losing a collaborator for Roddy. It was like losing a guiding light, a big brother who showed him how to move with purpose in a game full of traps. YG, one of Nipsey's closest brothers in music and real life, couldn't even hold back his emotions after the tragedy. When he spoke publicly, his pain was clear. He said it felt like losing a piece of himself. Their hit Last Time That I Checked wasn't just a track, it was an anthem for real ones trying to build something greater. Beyond the music, they shared a mission: to change the streets they came from. YG admitted that Nipsey made him see beyond fame, beyond money, to think legacy. And after Nipsey's death, YG confessed it felt like part of his vision died too. Even hip-hop giants like Kendrick Lamar and Jay-Z had to speak up because Nipsey's impact was just that deep. Kendrick, a man known for his own truth-driven lyrics, called Nipsey a symbol of what Los Angeles stood for: grit, wisdom, and heart. Jay-Z, though, took it a step further. He acted. He quietly set up a trust fund for Nipsey's children, Imani and Cross, making sure their futures would be protected forever. That single move spoke louder than any tribute. It showed how deeply the highest levels of hip-hop respected him. And Nipsey's reach didn't stop with rappers. His energy touched athletes, actors, and even politicians. LeBron James called him an inspiration, saying his hustle motivated players across the league. And when Barack Obama sent a personal letter to Nipsey's memorial, praising his community work and leadership, that sealed it. Nipsey had transcended the title of rapper. He was a movement, a modern-day role model who blurred the line between music and activism. What made it even more heartbreaking was that Nipsey was just getting started. His album Victory Lap had finally given him the global recognition he deserved. A Grammy nomination, a stamp that proved the marathon mindset worked. It wasn't just another record, it was the masterpiece he had spent years crafting, a message to the world that staying true could still lead to the top. He had built his own empire on his own terms with his own rules. And just when the world was finally catching up to his brilliance, it was all cut short. Nipsey's death didn't just end a life, it paused a movement. And that's why, years later, people still chant those same words painted on walls from Crenshaw to London. The marathon continues. People were furious, not just heartbroken, furious. The idea that Lauren London, the same woman who stood on that stage in tears, pouring her soul out for Nipsey, could have been closer to Diddy than anyone realized. It sent shockwaves through the culture. And then there was Snoop Dogg, Nipsey's so-called brother, the man who always seems to appear in the middle of every tragedy, giving heartfelt speeches while people quietly question where his loyalty really lies. What started as grief quickly twisted into suspicion. That sadness turned into anger, and that anger exploded into a loud public demand for answers. Fans aren't satisfied with the simple story anymore. Eric Holder did it doesn't feel like the full truth. People are connecting the dots, and what they're seeing looks bigger, deeper, and darker than anyone expected. Because Nipsey's death, too many, doesn't just look like the act of one man. It looks like a system. A system built on greed, power, betrayal, and manipulation. Every clue, every leaked clip, every whispered rumor feels like another piece of a much more dangerous puzzle. The footage of Snoop and Lauren looking a little too close, the alleged ties linking Lauren to Diddy's circle, Snoop's old controversies with Tupac and Biggie. Once you line it all up, it starts painting a chilling picture. To a lot of fans, Nipsey's death wasn't the finish line. It was the beginning of something darker, a new race for power, legacy, and control. What the world lost that day wasn't just a man. It was the future he was building for the people who believed in him. Nipsey was laying down the foundation for ownership, for community strength, for real independence, and losing him ripped that blueprint away. And the hardest part to accept, the painful thought that maybe, just maybe, what was stolen from him didn't come from strangers in the shadows, but from the very people who once stood beside him smiling for the cameras. The betrayal cuts deep, and for fans, that's the wound that still hasn't healed.